Michelle is a
I'm sorry, she's a what?
a transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
Well, Joan Rivers talked about it in the last few days, and it's a big international news story. The question is, who is Michelle Obama? Is she really a woman? Is she a man? Now, I'm not drawing any conclusions here, but I know this. It's fair to question anything and everything this administration says, because I can't think of an administration in history that has been caught with such a perfect record of everything they say and do being a lie, being a fraud. You've got all these examples with Obamacare and all the taxes it raises on poor people and the death panels and all the denials about that. And then the architect of Obamacare, Rahm Emanuel's brother, comes on Fox News and says, you know what, the plan is to bankrupt the healthcare system with this and bring in total socialism. So the insurance companies are getting in line. These people are the authors of so much corruption, so much tyranny, that they shouldn't whine and complain when the public doesn't believe anything they're saying, especially when every time I look at Michelle or Michael Obama, the first lady or the first tranny, every time I look at them, something doesn't look right. She doesn't look like any black woman or any woman I've ever known. She's got shoulders that are wider than a man's, which physiologically doesn't happen. Again, you can put 3 heads on a man's shoulders and only 2 heads on a woman's shoulders. That's a known anatomy. And then women generally have wider hips than men do. And you look at her arms and the rest of it, when she's standing straight on, she looks like no woman I have ever seen, except for people who have had different chromosomal disorders who choose to be a woman. And I've got the statistics and the numbers right here in front of me. We're seeing more and more of these chromosomal disorders because of all the toxic waste and GMO that's been introduced. One of them is the Klinefelter syndrome, or the double XY, where you basically are part female, part male, and then generally around puberty or even younger, the person needs to choose who they're going to be. And when you look at other people who have been reported, like Olympic runners and others, to perhaps having this disorder, they look just like Michelle Obama. And we've seen cases before where they then do the test and then don't release them. And the Russians got caught in the Olympics, of course, back in the 70s and 80s, having, quote, women wrestlers and weightlifters that really weren't women. They were really men. It's just they didn't have the genitalia, and some evidence showed they'd had it removed so that the great state could be shown of communism as defeating capitalism. But Joan Rivers, obviously, while officiating at a gay wedding, was basically asked about if America would accept this, and you know, she said, "Well, we already have a gay president and his transvestite wife." You know, for me, this isn't really a laughing matter, because not just the sexuality, but the very genetics of the human species across the board is being manipulated. We've got some areas of the United States where more than 2/3 of the frogs are being born hermaphrodites or asexual or sterile. We've got all sorts of sexual mutations happening in guinea pigs that are fed GMOs, things I won't get into here on the air. And we are all guinea pigs under this. So getting all the political correctness aside, there has always been people throughout history, males identify as females, females identify as males. There's always been a small portion of that, a small statistic. And I don't judge or attack those people. And I'm not obsessed with it either. I'm sick of the societal obsession with it. It's clearly being pushed, and that's what I'm tired of, is the force feeding of all of this culturally to reduce population and also break up the family. I'm tired of male role models that are traditional and female traditional role models being under attack. And so those that are pushing this politically correct agenda that tell us don't use the word bossy, it attacks women, or your kid can't play with a Nerf gun, or don't call illegal aliens immigrants, and then don't call them immigrants, call them migrants, and then don't call them migrants, call them people that you need to bow down and worship and pay for, or you're a racist, or turn your guns in or you're a racist, or vote for Obamacare, you're a racist. The truth is we're dealing with a move towards eugenics and dehumanization, period, that makes Brave New World look like an instruction manual. And after all, Aldous Huxley did say in his nonfiction book, Brave New World Revisited in 1961, that indeed it was an instruction manual, and that his brother headed up the UN plan at UNESCO to actually end the sexes as we know it and create biological androids to serve the state. So we're being conditioned by the television, conditioned by the chemicals, conditioned by the bad food, all of it, to become artificial consciousness, artificial insemination, because we're so incredibly infertile that, we have to have 3 parents now, and the baby has to be designed. And if they build back doors into all the technology and all the smart grids to surveil and control us, everything we talked about now admitted, I'm here to tell you they admit they're planning to build backdoor systems and stack genetic traits they want into all these new designer babies. The globalists are a cult of genetic engineering. So we can make jokes about Michelle Obama obviously having some type of chromosomal mutation or disorder. I mean, undoubtedly something's wrong with her. People can make jokes all day about how she's really a merman from series He-Man Masters of the Universe. But again, bottom line, we can laugh at our own peril, because this is affecting all of us and all of our children. And genetic disorders are off the chart. They're just telling us, this is just because we have bad genes. Well, why wasn't it expressing like this before? It is the environmental things that are being added into the food chain by design that is clearly causing this to happen. And the globalists told us that that's what they were planning to do. So I wanted to break that down here on the Nightly News, and then tomorrow on the syndicated radio transmission. Let's go ahead and throw it back to Darren McBreen in Studio B.
All right, that's going to do it for the first half of our broadcast. But when we come back, Alex Jones has another special report, the case for impeachment, as the evidence stacks up against President Barack Hussein Obama. Hey, don't forget to be a PrisonPlanet.tv subscriber. You can share your membership with 10 other people who will have unlimited access to all of our documentaries, our special reports, and, of course, the INFOWARS Nightly News. Right now, we have a summer special that's going on right now. 5 months free if you sign up today. So join Prison Planet TV and join the revolution. Alex Jones and the case for impeachment when we come back right after this.
Alex Jones here to break down some exciting developments in the area of research concerning supplemental iodine. It's nothing less than phenomenal. I began to get into iodine a few years ago because it was helping me and my family so much get healthy and detoxify. And I used some of the mainline iodine supplements, and they upset my stomach, and I had some issues with it. Until I discovered a product being developed by Dr. Group, who I was already interviewing as an expert on my radio show, and I began taking the product before he actually rolled it out. You now know it as Survival Shield True Nascent Iodine that your body can really absorb. Then, about a year ago, he said, listen, if you think this is powerful, I'm going to come out with rare earth, deep earth crystals that are incredibly powerful that no one else has as a source for their iodine, from between 7,000 and 12,000 feet, literally drilled out of the ground. You put it on a hot plate and it turns into the pure gas. No one else has 99.99% pure iodine. And the results that I personally have had have been life-changing. I was over 270 pounds. And with the iodine, exercise, and better diet, I have lost now more than 50 pounds total, and I'm continuing to lose the weight. I have more energy, my libido, all this crap came out of my skin. I believe our research is conclusive. This is the best iodine out there. And I know this for a fact. Nobody else has got iodine based on these pure crystals, ladies and gentlemen. This is innovating. This is trailblazing. And the best part is it helps fund INFOWARS.com, the radio show, the TV show, the whole media operation promoting true libertarian ideas. For a limited time, experience the ancient power of Survival Shield X2. Take advantage of this unprecedented 30% off Super Detox special at InfoWarsLife.com. The state of our republic is beyond dire. We need more than a Declaration of Independence. We need an emergency declaration of survival. We need the people to realize the fall of the republic is happening now. Today, I went back and looked at the articles of impeachment from back in the 1970s against Richard Milhouse Nixon. And it was stunning how Obama has done everything Nixon did publicly, far surpassed it, and not gotten in any trouble. And the reason I was thinking about the impeachment of Nixon was the fact that today, Boehner, the Speaker of the House, came out, the Republican leader who plays golf and hangs out with Obama constantly, and said, we're not going to impeach Obama, as if he controls everything through his dictatorial position as the Speaker of the House. Well, he's not technically a dictator, so it should be up to the House itself. Now, some Republicans argue that, hey, he's so unpopular, let's just win a bunch of points by keeping him in office instead of making him the victim. Look, I want to scare the Republicans as well. They're just as bad in many cases as the Democrats. The Republican leadership with NAFTA and GATT and the Police State Patriot Act and all of their corporate welfare, the banker bailouts that were bipartisan, the list goes on and on. The Iraq War. I want crimes like Benghazi Gate and, of course, Solyndra and the energy deals and Fast and Furious and all of it to be punished. You notice it gets worse and worse and worse. Now the border's wide open. We caught 3 weeks ago the government shipping the illegals in. It's finally national news that they're not just letting them in, they're telling them come and then shipping them all over the U.S. to bankrupt the country. That's the admitted plan under Agenda 21 and Cloward and Piven. They're on record. And what freaks me out is no one gets it but InfoWars.com. We have to literally go do the investigations, do the reports, put it out, and then weeks later, watch it become national news. Again, we're on the opposite of a power trip here. This is blowing us away that we are literally on the cutting edge of understanding what's happening. Has anybody else gone and read the articles of impeachment against Nixon? Has anybody else gone and then looked at the Declaration of Independence that was an impeachment of King George III and basically saying you're fired? I mean, this is the reality that we're talking about here. So what I'm getting at here is all of you viewers out there need to realize you have incredible power. You're the real reason InfoWars.com is more and more changing history and having a giant effect, working with other pro-liberty groups that transcend terms like liberal or conservative, folks like DrudgeReport.com and WorldNetDaily.com. We're just simply organizations and groups that value the truth, value justice, and don't want to repeat the mistakes of history. But we don't just have to learn from history to not repeat the mistakes. We can also learn from history to repeat things that have been successful, like the impeachment of Nixon, like the defeat of King George III, the tyrant. We can also learn good lessons from history of victories we've had. So let's first take a quick look at the Declaration of Independence and the unanimous vote in Congress, July 4th, 1776, in this month of July, to understand what we've gone through. And ask yourself, does this not parallel what's happening with Obama and these crimes? He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good, blocking everything, vetoing everything. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of public records for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has called together legislative bodies in faraway places and not let the public become aware of what's actually being passed. Look at how they put it all into UN law, secret tribunals, secret treaties that circumvent Congress. Again, there's dozens of these points. Here's another one. He has endeavored to prevent the population of the states for the purpose of obstructing laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands. So exactly what happens. Make it hard to become legally here, but let the illegals pour in because they'll be dependents under their control, and not letting the public get a hold of public